When I was growing up many years ago in grade school, I remember, and at the end of the school year, a lot of my cousins, we would go to visit with my grandmother, and she knew how to make you do things well, not even thinking about it. So she will give us some tours to do, and then as each of the grandchildren are doing this, she's saying this thing we call morning devotion. She already bought some peanuts. I don't know if you've ever tasted the peanut when I bring it back from Africa. Sometimes I'll give you. Very tasty. So she will put it in different wrappings and put large quantities, medium and small. So anyone who finishes the tours first, along with this prayer, you go and pick yours. And you don't want to be the last because the other one is bigger. You know? So she will start the morning devotion or morning prayer while telling you you're sweeping, you're doing your thing. So we are repeating after her. She didn't have books or she couldn't read, but she memorized those prayers. One of them I remember, I think is a prayer you also know, even though we ended it differently, but the one we call morning offering. My Jesus, I offer you through the Immaculate Heart of Mary all my prayers, work, and suffering of this day, and I unite them with that of Jesus. And then at the end, we had a different ending. Our ending said, we ask all the martyrs of Uganda to intercede for us. Now, I mean, as a kid, I said those things. I didn't know what martyrs of Uganda were or where was Uganda, but we just said it and finished it. When I came to the United States, I read a little bit more about the martyrs of Uganda, but this is the prayer, frankly, I've been saying from childhood. Every single day, I don't miss it. This morning, I said it. So I heard about the martyrs of Uganda, and I started to study and read a little bit about it. And then a few years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, Bishop Barron went to Uganda. And he came out and put a beautiful video. This was very inspirational for me. So last year, during my sabbatical, I called the university in Nigeria that I was going to do my sabbatical, and I said, is this included in your package of the sabbatical? They included that for me. So last year, exactly June 3rd, which is a year ago today, I was in Uganda. It is their Independence Day, and they celebrate the martyrs of Uganda. That's what the church celebrates today. Charles Lwanga with 21 others. And hear this. Some of them not Catholics, other Christians. I think some of them were not even Christians, Muslims. They heard the word of truth, and they wanted to bear witness to the truth. Boy, when I was there last year, I could not believe it. After this Mass, we're going to do a short presentation with what we call our Truth GPS, and I want to show you a few photos. If you can join us online, that would be wonderful. There's a Zoom link. It's also going to be on Facebook to join. And I landed in the airport. It was maybe about 3 a.m., and then the taxi driving me to the hotel that I was to stay, I said it was going to be closer to the arena where they would celebrate the Feast of the Martyrs. I started seeing people 40 minutes away walking about 3:30 in the morning. So I'm saying to the taxi driver, where are these people going? Pockets of people. He said some of them have joined it for several days. As a matter of fact, there was a man, maybe in his upper 80s, who every single year for the past 50 years would walk to this arena to celebrate the Feast of the Martyrs of Uganda. It is now their Independence Day. Boy, they got me to the hotel, and then at a point, no road to get to the arena except with scooters. So I was hanging on a little scooter behind from my hotel room, leading me to the arena. They wouldn't let you in. The police, you have to walk. I told the policeman, I don't know my way. So I showed my Roman color. I said, okay, Father. They showed me the way. And I went in. It's like a zoo of people. I did not know the number until I came back. I went online just looking at what happened. Over 3 million people gathered. 10 years ago, when Bishop Barron went, he said about 500,000 people were there. I saw a priest from Canada dancing like he was sweating. I said, boy, you are really used to it. He said, have you been here before? I said, no. And he said, I am more African than you. This is a white guy. He said he was ordained a deacon on the feasts of the Martyrs of Uganda, June 3rd. And since then, he's been going there until when he was ordained a priest. Boy, he loved it. People of all nationalities. Huge crowd. Why were they in that place? Because these young men, Charles Lwanga and 21 companions, the king, Lwanga, made a law that was contrary to God's law, and it affects marriage, it affects relationship. And so these gentlemen said to the king, we're not going to buy into your tricks. We're going to keep ourselves clean, chaste for God. You know what happened? One after the other, the 21 of them either put to the sword or they were murdered. This is not like ancient times. This happened in the 1800s. And it was in the 1960s that they were even proclaimed saints for the church, that their blood that they shedded for the faith becomes a good witness for the church. You know what martyrdom means, taken from the word martureo, meaning to bear witness. Not to bear witness to political ideology, because they said to the king, no, we're not. Even though sometimes we live in a situation where one king or one president or the other, if he or she does anything, no matter how contrary it is to God's law, people are going to go with it. But the church has always been on the side, regardless of what leadership, looking at what is right and praising them, and when it is wrong to say no. So these gentlemen said no. And I love the opening prayers today. Did you hear the opening prayer? The blood of the martyrs is the seed for Christianity. And then the prayer said, help us so that the church, which is the garden, that the seed, the blood of the martyrs is deposited, may bear good fruit. And that is for each one of us, brothers and sisters, that we too will have the courage to bear truth or to bear witness to the truth, even if it asks for our lives. I love the way St. Paul puts it in the first reading. Your share of hardship for the sake of the gospel, as he writes to Timothy, or rather I would say as he writes to each one of us gathered here today, maybe here or maybe online. We must be ready to take our part in the hardship that comes from bearing witness to the gospel when we say no to what is evil and yes to what is right. So as we're gathering there celebrating Mass, I've told the story many times, how as soon as I got in there, I left my bag to one young man in the sacristy and then put on the garment to celebrate the Mass with the rest. There was Mass every 1 hour. A huge number of priests. So when I came back, as a matter of fact, so as soon as I walked into the church, remembering that the bag that I gave to him, my passport, all the money I had on that journey was in that bag. To tell you the least, I don't know if I concentrated in the Mass or if it was 50-50. I'm saying, Lord, help me. And I'm not going to be able to tell anyone this. They're going to think, how stupid were you to leave your bag to a strange individual? And I came back and I didn't see the guy. I'm like, it's done. I don't even know how I'm going to get to my hotel. I looked around and I looked around. In one corner, he had saved the bag. I opened it. All the money was intact. My passport was in there. And I took a deep breath and made a sign of the cross. I kept looking for him to give him something. I couldn't find him. I asked people, they said, what do you mean? There's hundreds, thousands, millions of people. How are you going to get? We don't know who you're talking about. I prayed for that young man. And someone told me, here in Uganda, we are so honest and sincere, and you don't have to fear. Wow, a small country. They learn on the blood of the martyrs how to bear witness to the truth, bear witness to sincerity, how to be kind and gentle to one another. Seriously, it was a big surprise. Then, the next day, the huge Mass came where we gathered there with a huge number of people. Boy, the procession. Just talk about how celebratory and joyful it was. The Archbishop who gave the homily said something that just hit my heart. And people were crying. Not tears of sorrow, but tears of joy. You know what the Archbishop said? He said, when the white missionaries, the white fathers and the nuns, when they came to Africa, they labored and they loved us. And they gave us the greatest treasure. Not money, not material things. They gave us their faith. By the time they left, a lot of them died here with us. By the time they left, someone may have said, what have you really done? Especially given the events of Charles Lwanga and his companion. What have you really done? And he shouted out at the top of his voice. He said, if you ever wonder, fathers, nuns, white missionaries who came to Africa, I hope you are there in heaven. If you've ever wondered whether the seed you planted in Africa is bearing fruit, I testify to you today that have borne fruit. He said, you know why? Our brothers and sisters have believed in so much in what you came to tell us that they shedded their blood for it. Think about it for one moment. They believed in so much in what these white missionaries came to tell them about Jesus, to the point that they decided to abandon the culture of their king and die for Jesus. He said, thank you, missionaries, who came from America and Europe and everywhere. The seed you planted here is bearing fruit. But he said, if that's not enough, today we have our missionaries from Africa all over the world, Canada, United States, just name it, in Europe and all that, who are taking the same message that you brought to sow in Africa, to bring it back and spread it all around the world. Then he ended with this: I will die happy that the fruit or the seed you brought to Africa is bearing fruit. And we're taking that fruit back to all over the world. Now, if you were me sitting in that congregation, what would you do? I was just covering with tears. It's true. Because these young men had the courage to say no to evil proposed by the king and to stand for Jesus. The faith is spreading all over the world, and the blood of the martyrs has become the seed of Christianity. Now, this is my turn and this is yours. You're going to see some customs in your city, in your family, in your country, in your world proposed by whoever that is contrary to God's law. Will you be God's martyr, a witness for God, a witness for the truth, or will you go with opinions that may be contrary to God's law? I repeat the opening prayer this morning, that the seed, which is the blood of the martyrs, sown in the church, may help me and you to stand like St. Charles Lwanga and companions and bear witness to the truth. Amen.